I'm life and business coach Samantha Sifring, and this is the Online Business Building Mamas podcast, where you learn how to build a wildly successful business from home while raising kids. Hello, mamas. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. So today, I'm diving into a topic that I have been getting so many questions about for the past week or so. So about a week ago, I announced that I was closing my Facebook group. And then this week, I actually closed the group. And this is the Facebook group I've been growing for 2.5 years. It had just under 11,000 people in it. And the majority of my clients in the past 3 years of my business have come from this group. And yes, I closed it. So on this episode, I'm talking about why, and I'm going to be sharing the 6 lessons that I have learned about growing an audience. 2.5 years ago, I started a Facebook group. It took about a year for me to get to 1,000 people in that group. And then about a year as well, that same time period, for me to reliably start signing clients from that group. Before that, I was showing up consistently for a year while signing clients somewhere else. Mostly other people's Facebook groups is where I was meeting my clients, in case you were wondering. I think most people don't realize this about me or about groups in general. I think most people assume that you start a group and if it's going to work, you just start signing clients from it right at the beginning. And they don't really realize how the reality of Facebook groups can look. Most people that I know that have groups actually don't get the majority of their clients there. I was kind of a unicorn amongst my friends. In my mastermind group, I would say among my peers, there's 2 of us who have been really successful with our Facebook groups out of 30. So just know Facebook groups are not like an automatic way to have a successful business or get clients. I eventually did get a lot of clients from my Facebook group, and I'm going to share why. And these are actually the first 4 lessons that I want to share with you about growing an audience. And these are things that you can use no matter where you're growing your audience. So these aren't exclusive to Facebook groups. So the first one is start now. Do not wait to have it all figured out or to feel ready. When I started my group, I really just had the idea, hey, I would love to have a group. I would love to build a community. I'm somebody who has always enjoyed online community. As a stay-at-home mom, that was how I made friends. I was on all these pregnancy message boards and that kind of thing. So I was not a stranger to building community and making friends and connections online, and I wanted to have my own space to do that. And I truly just started. I named the group Launch It because I was thinking, I'm going to help moms launch a business. So I'm going to call it Launch It. It was kind of a goofy name and obviously didn't last. I changed it a couple months in, but I just decided to get started. And that's what I encourage for you as well. Just get started. The next lesson is to leverage your strengths and don't just do what works for other people. Really find your thing. So for me, when I was starting out, the Facebook group was really my thing. And before that, I had tried a lot of other things. I tried to do a meme account on Instagram that did not work. I tried speaking gigs. I tried a lot of different things before I tried the Facebook group. And it was really just the thing that I thought would be fun, the thing that I thought played to my strengths. And I decided to give it a shot. So I really encourage all of you to have fun with your marketing. I was just coaching a client on this today. I told her that she should check out TikTok, and I had some good reasons why. And I said, only do it if it's going to be fun and like something that you're just going to be willing to try and enjoy and bring your full personality to. So I encourage you all to really think about, how do I shine best? What do I love? How do I love connecting with people? What would be fun for me? And just try those things. The third lesson is one of my favorite. Show up for the business and audience you want to have, not the one you do have. So, when I was building my Facebook group, I had clients from other places. As I told you, I met them in Facebook groups, and then they would join my group. And one of my clients from that time period, who's actually still a client today, we've been working together for, I think, 2.5 years now. She told me recently that she thought it was so weird and awkward and a little cringy the way that I showed up in my Facebook group at the beginning when I would post something and no one would respond. And she said, like, you would just show up, like there was thousands of people there and there was like 50 people and none of them responded to you. And I felt bad for you. And I was like, you know what? I truly did show up like there was thousands of people there. I was very focused on where I was going and the vision I had and what I wanted it to be. And I pretended that that is what it was like then from the very beginning. Something else that can help you if you have a smaller audience that's really been helpful for me as well is thinking about inviting that number of people to your house. So I had a client who did a webinar and 11 people came and she was like, oh, it was so small. No one came. No one was there. And I asked her, how would you feel if you had 11 people come over to your house? And her eyes got really big and she was like, that would be a lot of people. We might not fit. And that's what I want you to remember with your audience, whether it's your email list or Facebook group or Instagram followers, whatever it is. I want you to imagine that number of people at your house and use those thoughts to think about the people. Like, wow, this is so many people. I can't believe they're all interested. This is so great. I want you to be in awe and gratitude for that number and really seeing each of them as an individual who wants what you have. The next lesson, number 4, be consistent and patient. The value that you put out comes back to you, but it's like a veggie garden. I always talk about growing tomatoes when I talk to my clients about the value that they put out and it coming back to them. I grow tomatoes and I live in Colorado, so our growing season is kind of crazy and it takes a long time to get a harvest. And then like as soon as we start harvesting, then we get a freak snowstorm or hailstorm or something that destroys it all, which is horrible. So I've been through the emotional roller coaster with gardening and growing tomatoes. And I think that it's a pretty good analogy for our businesses. You're planting seeds, you're burying them, you're giving them water and sunlight a lot over time, and it takes them a long time to mature until there's actually tomatoes on the vine. And I think most of us in our businesses plant the seeds and then immediately dig them up to see if they're sprouting and producing yet. So keep that image of that garden in your mind as you're delivering value and know it's always going to come back to you. So now let's talk about my decision to close the group. It was based on lesson 5, the concept, be willing to let go of what has worked for your bigger vision. Every 6 months, I create a 3-year plan for my business. I do it from scratch each time without referencing the last time to really see what new things come up for me, what new insights I have with 6 more months under my belt. And earlier this year in February, I had a major aha moment when I was doing this. It was the first time I actually claimed making $1 million for myself in the 3-year plan instead of being too afraid to name it. And in doing that, I realized the version of me who's making $1 million doesn't run a free Facebook group. She pours all of her time and attention and coaching and mentoring into her clients in her program. And I had kind of a vague idea at that time that I wanted to have a program, and it eventually became Mama to CEO that I have today. And I knew that that future version of me would want to spend all of her attention and time and mentorship with those clients in that program and really nurturing that community instead of a free one. This is also where I would be having the biggest impact with people, because as much value as people do get from my free group, which had been a major priority for me, what I had realized over time is that it wasn't as much result-wise as you would get from working with me. There just wasn't as much buy-in and investment from members in a free group as there is when you join a program. What I found is that I just couldn't serve at the level that I really wanted to, and my clients' results were just way beyond what were happening in the free group. And I knew that there was people making do with my free stuff because it was so valuable and great, but they weren't getting the results that they could get from working with me. And I started just feeling like I was doing people a disservice and that there had to be a better way to help more people get results. I also knew as my business was growing really fast, I couldn't be in this free community in the same way I was before. I just didn't have time for that. So I started to pull back from it, and it was kind of hanging over my head. I used to write 3 to 5 posts a day in my group. A couple years ago, I used to coach for free. I used to answer every single question, read every single post. I knew everybody in there, everybody's business, everywhere that they were stuck. And if I tried to do that today with 11,000 people in that group, I would have no work-life balance. And my assistant was spending considerable amount of time in there as well. And we were pouring so much time and resources in here, and I felt like I wasn't being the leader in my business that I wanted to be. Not only was I not serving at the level that I wanted to, but in having that work-life balance be off kilter like that, I felt like I wasn't leading all of you in the most integrity, having that business set up that way anymore. And this was a really hard realization for me. I didn't take it lightly. I spent a lot of time thinking about it. When I first realized it, it felt like a punch to the gut, even though it had come from my own brain. Nobody told me that I had to do this initially. This was my idea, and I knew that it was the right thing to do. I told a friend when I was kind of processing through all my emotion about it, I told a friend that closing this group is like breaking up with a boyfriend that you love and you know that you won't marry. I thought that was the most perfect analogy because I didn't want to say goodbye to it, and I knew that it was the right move all around. So I sat with it for a few months before taking action, which is actually very unlike me. Once I decide to do things, I typically implement really, really fast. So this is something that I really sat with for a long time before I made a move on it. So this is truly the end of an era. I've shown up monthly, weekly, daily in this group for over 2.5 years. I've made great friendships in there. I've gotten so many incredible client relationships there. I've shared my heart in there. One time I even did a live where I cried. This is really a bittersweet change for me, and that's why I really thought it was important to talk about. All of our businesses grow and change, and at every level, we're shedding old ways of thinking and old things that we're doing to think and do new things that support our next level. You're going to encounter these decisions in your business too, and there's going to be moments where you're going to have to let go of something that you love that has worked amazing to serve your bigger vision of where you're going. The final lesson that I want to share with you is this. One of the biggest mental shifts that I've had as I have been processing this decision and preparing for this decision and now executing this decision is recognizing the truth that the only thing that creates clients in my business is me, my brain and my thinking, and how I take those thoughts and implement them into the world with what I do. And that isn't going away. Facebook or Facebook groups, they don't create clients. An audience of 11,000 people, that doesn't create clients. I create clients. And you do too. No matter what or where your audience is currently. This has been the most valuable lesson of all of them for me. And I want you to know that it's true for you too. Social media platforms come and go. Everywhere you can build an audience is going to come and go. The magic is you, not the platform, not the audience. And once you learn to do it once, you can learn to do it anywhere else, and you can replicate what you've learned again and again and again. All right. Thanks for joining me here on the podcast. And if you were somebody who loved me on social media in the Facebook group, join me over on Instagram. I am at Samantha HMS, and that is the place where you can get all those amazing posts that you used to find in the Facebook group. And I do some fun behind the scenes in the stories. So I'll see you over there and back here again next week. If you like this podcast, I want to invite you to coach with me over in my program, Mama to CEO. There's you, and there's the consistent income you want to make in your business, and I help you remove everything standing in between. It's lifetime access for mastering your marketing, sales, time, and everything else you need to have the business and life you really want. Whether it's making your first 1,000 or 100,000, I can help you do it. To join, go to mamatoceo.com. MAMATOCEO.com.